Let's talk about the week. Let's pull up some slides. It's been a fascinating one. Of course, we had a jobs report today, but you know what? Something seems to be bubbling beneath the surface just a little bit. Maybe you guys can help me out with this. Let's move to the next slide.
Bubbling beneath the surface.
Yeah. There seems to be a little something, going on here. Yeah. You let me know. I'm going to tell a story. You let me know here. Okay. So we had a couple of jobs reports this week. I got to say a couple these days because market seems to be anticipating them at least a little bit. I mean, JOLTS and ADP makes it seem like the economy's slowing down, but this non-farm payroll, I thought it was going to be the same thing. I had to change it this morning because it was a little mixed. It was a little weird. I mean, it seems like we bumped up a little bit in the numbers. So, but things seem to be slowing down overall. Okay. Now, bond yields, I know they're up right now as a result of the number, but for the most part, they're cratered. I mean, the 10-year spent most of the week under 4.2. Is that too far, too fast, or what?
I'm not sure. I think it's a little fast, but I also think that they normalized, and I think that's okay.
Okay.
I mean, I think they went too far the other way, and now if they came back too far this way, they're just in the process of normalizing.
But isn't that what we look for as opportunists? I mean,
yeah, I think so. I mean, we were definitely long bonds at the bottom. We were not short bonds yesterday, even though a couple people on some of the trades on Wednesday and what's your assumption got us a little bit short bonds. We're not we're not that short.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, that's one of the few things that has a little bit of vol to it. I'm sure they did.
Yeah, it does.
Those trades. Gold. I know you guys have opinions. I want to hear them, but this week the biggest thing that happened was the big 5% intraday range we had in gold. But you guys don't believe in that move. What's the deal?
Well, Tom thought it was a fat finger mistake.
That's
yes.
what I heard.
And then we had viewers send in their sales of gold up there. So it definitely was tradable.
Well, right now, I am long silver, short gold. It looks like it's pretty much a wash today. Gold's down 20, silver's down 40. And at $50, it's exactly a wash.
Interesting. Long silver, short gold, huh? Okay. All right.
And I've been short a little premium in GLD. It's been working pretty good. Gold hasn't really had any kind of outlier move except for that one night. But quickly, before the market even opened for GLD, it was back to where it started. So it wasn't too much to do.
Yeah. Crude oil. You see, look, we can't even get through like three things without telling something bubbling beneath the surface. Crude oil is near 70, man. I mean, it's down for the 7th consecutive week. Bitcoin is like surged 12% this week, near 19-month highs. VIX, look at that. It's near COVID era low. So all this happens is real, which is basically pricing in about, 0.8% moves per day in either direction.
I'm waiting for Sadnov to tell me something's bubbling in the market, so then I can say something's bubbling too.
I like it. Let's move to the next slide. Oh, jeez. A couple of months. So at some point or another, again, it's probably going to bump back up, but this is where we are right now. A lot of change in the last 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's move to the next slide. Have you noticed that correlation is starting to pick up, even though vol, which is kind of interesting. Usually we see correlation pick up when vol is high, but it's kind of interesting to see correlation picking up just a little bit and vol is still low. I'm not sure what to make of it yet. You could maybe say it's a canary in the coal mine. Maybe something's on the way as well. Again, I don't imagine anything coming in decent.
What do you mean by this? You're saying the 1 month correlation is rising when the VIX is low. So you're talking about the 1 month correlation between the VIX and what's the other side of this?
The 1 month correlation for the S&P 500 is rising, but VIX is still low. Typically, we see correlation high when VIX is high, right? I mean, just if you look at the chart, there's a few times where it's dislocated, but for the most part, this thing tracks.
You're talking about the inverse correlation.
No, I'm just talking about correlation in the market. Just correlation in the market. When we see correlation rise, it's usually because VIX is up, right? Everything's moving together.
It's always because VIX is up. And what we're saying here is that we're seeing correlation with the VIX down.
Right. It's kind of weird. Okay. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
So I don't exactly know why correlation is bumping a little bit. Maybe I'm not sure, but I don't know. This is a little canary in the coal mine. Maybe I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay, that's fair.
Let's move to the next slide. Everything that likes bonds has been moving, of course. This is a chart with XLK being tech names. This is XHB, of course. Housing market, there's SPY just for show. TLT is obviously the main thing, and utilities, which were really beat down early this year. They're starting to turn around too. So everything that generally tracks with bonds is starting to move higher. Again, this shows a little correlation situation. Things are starting to move. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed?
Yeah, agreed.
Let's move to the next slide. This one is interesting to me. This is the crude futures curve. So it's basically a tale of two curves. First 6 months, Jan to June, is in contango. July onward is basically backwardation, right? So I think it's a good idea. I'm interested in getting long crude here since it's around 70, a little bit below. Also has a little vol to it. Maybe sell some puts, but I do wonder how much I'm going to make on that right now, just because of the way supply is. And is this thing going to bounce back up? Or, crude's been playing a lot of games more recently. So it's just kind of weird to see the curve like this right now with the first 6 months or so in contango and the last several months in backwardation. I don't know if that means it's really not going to get going until later or middle of this year or what the deal is. This is kind of weird.
Yeah, I think this is just lack of demand, and I also think that the last thing traders want to do is get long far out futures in crude oil. I think this makes it way more interesting because you just can't. It's almost impossible to sit on your longs here. Like this is like if you want to be long crude oil, you're gonna have to pay.
You're gonna have to pay. Yeah.
You're gonna have to pay because you're gonna roll down each month, and you're gonna have to pay.
Yep. You're gonna have to pay. Crude's in backwardation and kind of on its lows. Like we said, it's bumped back up today. It's near 70, but it's been down 7 weeks in a row. Gasoline also been real weak more recently. So let's move ahead to the next slide. So to close out, big moves in tech, especially yesterday. Google and AMD independently had some big splashes with their artificial intelligence events. Market is pricing 64% chance of a rate cut in March. That might have changed this morning. I'm not exactly sure. But the general theme here is everybody's talking about rate cut, of course. And March is the time they're talking about doing it. I still think that's a little early. I think it should be June, July. Yen with a huge move yesterday, 3% basically. Does that mean it's so weird that these guys, Japan never hiked rates while everybody else is hiking rates, and now they're talking about hiking rates? Are you still loving the yen here or what?
I mean, I'm still long the yen. We just had a rally from 66 and change to 70 and change. That's 4 points. So we just had a 5.5% to 6% rally in the yen, which is a pretty big move on something that only has like 9% implied volatility. But I'm just short puts in there. That's it. So I don't know when I'm going to cover. I don't know.
He liked the move, but you got him a little verklempt because you mentioned the AMD, and he didn't like that move.
I didn't like AMD.
That move was sick. Yeah,
that move was sick, and it's up again another $1 tonight to this morning.
Yes. See, he doesn't even know if it's daytime or nighttime.
No,
that's how you messed up, Jamal. You should have went the other way around. He would have been talking about the yen. You messed up. Tried to finish strong, but you screwed up. It doesn't matter. I still love you. We're going to take a quick 90-second break and come back. We got more Tasty Live after this with the opening bell. Thank you, Jamal.
Yeah.